They called it a hunt, but it was nothing more than a slaughter. Ash knew that from the start. The Galactic Hunters weren't just predators. They were legends in the outer systems. Genetically perfected for war, trophies from every known species hung on their ships. Humanity was just the latest novelty, another warm-blooded curiosity to be tracked, broken, and displayed. Ash had been running for hours. His gear, standard recon armor, was half melted from a near miss. His HUD flickered, 2 ribs broken, puncture wound below the lung, and a shredded comm unit that spat static more than signal. But none of that mattered. Behind him, they moved like ghosts, cloaked, silent, toying with him. One plasma round finally caught him, clean through the side, cauterizing flesh in its wake. He stumbled, hit the dirt hard, and skidded into a rocky crevice. Vision blurred, breath ragged. His blood soaked into the alien soil, thick and dark and too slow to clot. He couldn't scream, couldn't move, just breathe, shallow and sharp, waiting for the end. High above, 3 of them stood on the ridge, laughing in that insectal, clicking language. One of them raised a hand and mimicked a whimper. Another spit in Ash's direction. He heard one mutter, "They all die the same." Then they vanished. They didn't even bother to check. Ash lay still. Every breath sent lightning through his chest. But he was still breathing. That counted. In his right hand, fingers numb, he gripped the comm. His thumb tapped out a sequence, blind and half-conscious but practiced. Emergency channel. 1 ping. Then 2. Then silence. He wasn't religious. He didn't believe in fate or gods or some galactic justice waiting to punish monsters. But he believed in signals. And if someone was listening, if even one member of his team had survived the first assault, then maybe, just maybe, dying here wouldn't be a waste. His vision tunneled. Time lost meaning. He saw flashes, training days on Europa, his sister's goodbye before deployment, the captain's last order. Don't let them forget we fought. The wound throbbed. Warm liquid leaked down his side. He couldn't see it, but he knew. Arterial. No medpack. No nanites. Just pain and waiting. He pressed his back against the rock and listened. The hunters weren't coming back yet. They thought it was over. They thought they had time. He shifted just barely. One hand pressed into the dirt, trembling. He gritted his teeth, and a low growl escaped his throat. The kind that wasn't fear or agony. It was something deeper, an old, primal refusal to die without purpose. Ash clicked the comm again. No voice, just static. Then, click, a garbled signal broke through. Faint but real. A status. He coughed blood before answering. Shot, bleeding, planet marker. Echo 5, silence. Copy that. We're inbound. He dropped the comm head, lolled forward. Breath shallow again. But his lips twitched, a cracked smile forming. They were coming. Maybe they wouldn't make it in time. Maybe he'd already bled out before they breached Otmo. But if they did arrive, if even one of them touched down hot and saw what was left of him, then those bastards wouldn't be laughing long. Behind his teeth, Ash whispered something low, the words barely audible over the wind. See you soon. Consciousness returned in pieces. Pain was the first thing Ash felt, deep, pulsing, sharp. His body screamed with every breath, every twitch. The wound below his ribs had stopped bleeding fast, which meant one of 2 things. He was dying, or his crude bandage held. He didn't waste time wondering which. He pulled a ration pack from his belt with fingers that barely responded, tore it with his teeth. Not for food. He used the foil as a crude compress wrap, pressed it over the gash, clenching his jaw as heat lanced through him. Dizziness came in waves. He paused, counted 5 breaths, resumed. Field medicine wasn't about being gentle. It was about staying alive just long enough to matter. The comm crackled again, barely audible over the static. He angled it toward the wind, squinting at the HUD. Warden here. ETA 14 minutes. Sitrep. Ash swallowed blood and grit. His voice came out cracked, gravel soaked in fire. Still breathing. Mostly. Silence for a moment. Then Warden's voice returned, harder now. Copy. Hold position. We're coming in hot. He didn't respond. No need to. The message had been sent. They were coming. And if they were coming, that minute wasn't over. Ash leaned his head back against the rock and let himself go still. Not asleep, just waiting, thinking. That was what people like the Hunters didn't understand. They thought war was about dominance, power, weapons. But humans fought different. They made war out of desperation, out of fury, out of grief. He'd seen it before, on fractured colonies, on outposts left to burn. There were names carved into the inside of his armor. Not for decoration, not for remembrance, for fuel. Every one of them had bled too. Some under alien steel, some under fire, some just starving under sieges no one reported. The galaxy didn't mourn them, but Ash carried them. Always. His fingers, still shaking, moved to the side pocket, pulled out a worn injector. Painkillers. Military grade. He stared at it for a moment, considered saving it, then plunged it into his thigh. The burn shot up like wildfire, but clarity followed. Enough to sit upright. He pressed his back against the rock again, stabilizing himself. He pulled the knife from his boot, not because it would help much against what was out there, but because it felt right. Something in his grip. A reminder. Above him, the sky was boiling. Dropship trails, incoming fire. The kind of chaos that said reinforcements were punching their way through an unfriendly atmosphere. Good. He remembered his last briefing with Torch. The woman had said it straight. If they pick us off one by one, they win. If we hit back as one, we show them we're not prey. She wasn't just firepower. She was fire, period. The kind of soldier who burned holes in the dark. Ash chuckled once, low and dry. Then coughed. More blood. Movement flickered at the edge of his vision. Not human. Not fast. One of them was scouting, must have doubled back. Ash went still, heartbeat thundering in his skull. The hunter's outline shimmered behind the distant trees. It didn't see him yet. Probably assumed the bleeding human was just that, bleeding, dying, weak. Let it. Ash pressed the comm again. Target, 50 meters west tree line solo. Torch's voice now. Sharp. Focused. Copy that. I see him. Seconds passed. A brief flicker of light in the distance. A dull thud followed. No more movement. Ash exhaled. Even now, dying, every second he stayed alive was a second the team could use. That was the difference. The hunters killed for sport. For pride. Humans bled for each other. He tapped the comm again. How bad's it look from up there? Warden answered. Bad enough. But not over. Ash smiled. Good. Let's make them remember. He laid his head back again, eyes open, watching the sky turn red. Not from his blood, but from what was coming down to meet them. The sky tore open like it was angry. Dropship burned through clouds, a controlled descent on the edge of violet. It hit atmosphere hard and came in fast, too fast for elegance, perfect for war. Warden didn't wait for clearance, didn't wait for backup. The mission wasn't extraction, it was retaliation. Ash's coordinates were burned into their HUDs. They moved with purpose, for soldiers hardened by failures the galaxy never documented. Torch hit the ground first, launching forward with a flame rifle humming low and deadly. Breaker followed, heavy step, heavier weapon, grinning like a man who'd waited too long for a reason. The hunters didn't see it coming. They never did with humans. The first shot came from Warden, a long-range kinetic round that punched straight through composite armor like it was paper. No flash, no sizzle, just raw force and a body folding before it could scream. The sound echoed across the trees, and suddenly the hunt wasn't amusing anymore. It was survival. Torch lit the second one on fire mid-leap. The alien shrieked as heat cooked the flesh off its bones, thrashing in agony before silence fell again. Breaker moved next. No elegance, just pure violence. His hammer crush tore a four-armed brute in half. He didn't stop to watch it fall. Ash, still conscious, fed them data. Coordinates, paths, positions he'd memorized while bleeding. His voice came through the comm, broken but sharp. 3 more, East Ridge. They're flanking. Warden didn't question it. She adjusted, marked targets, and cleared the ridge in 2 controlled shots. The flanking squad never got a flank. They died wondering how a man half dead in the dirt could still think like a soldier. Because that was the problem the hunters never solved. They understood weapons, but not will. They mistook pain for weakness. They forgot what desperation looks like when sharpened. One hunter tried to run. Torch let it believe it had distance. Then she launched a plasma dart right between its shoulder blades. It exploded in red mist. Message delivered. More came from the tree-lean. Warden dropped low, took two in the throat before they knew she was there. Breaker flanked from the left, clearing brush with his gauntlet cannon. Limbs flew. Trees shattered. The hunters screamed in their language, calling for regroup, for retreat. Humans didn't retreat. Ash's voice came again, slower now, labored. Last one's moving toward the ship. Torch's eyes narrowed. Copy. I'll handle it. The hunter reached the edge of the clearing, blood-soaked and limping. It stumbled onto the ramp of the human dropship, thinking maybe escape was an option. Maybe if it got inside, it could trigger something, sabotage a kill switch. Something. Breaker was already waiting. He didn't speak, just raised his weapon, pointed it at the thing's chest, and stared. The hunter looked up, trembled. For the first time in its life, it begged. Its voice cracked, alien tongue shivering with fear. Breaker tilted his head. Did he beg? He asked, calm. Ash answered from the calm, voice thin. No, I didn't. Breaker pulled the trigger. Silence followed. The clearing smoked, the air thick with burned ozone and blood. Human boots stepped through it like it was home. The battle lasted 12 minutes. 17 confirmed kills. 0 human casualties. Ash was lifted from the dirt with care. He was conscious enough to see the blood still on his team's armor. He didn't ask questions. Didn't need to. They didn't come to save him. They came to finish what he started. Torch looked down at him, her face unreadable under the visor. You said light the fire. Ash nodded, barely. You brought the whole damn blaze. The fire still smoldered. Alien bodies scattered like broken statues, charred and crumpled across the field. Smoke drifted through trees, clinging to scorched leaves and blackened earth. No movement, no resistance. The hunt had ended, but not the way they expected. Ash lay on the med table, pale but stable. Auto docs worked quietly, sealing what could be sealed. His breathing was shallow, but no longer desperate. He wasn't dying anymore. He was recovering. Slowly, painfully, alive. Warden stood by the ship's command console, reviewing combat logs. Every kill, time-stamped, every action recorded. Torch paced nearby, helmet off, face tight with focus. Breaker sat against a crate, arms crossed, cleaning ash from his gear. None of them spoke for a while. The silence wasn't emptiness, it was weight. The comms terminal pinged. Torch stepped forward and opened the channel. The alien dialect that filtered through was rigid, arrogant, still blind. This was unauthorized. Your presence violates the accords. This escalation is not recognized. Torch didn't reply at first. She switched the transmission, routed it through a local broadcast array, switched to Galactic Standard. Her voice, when it came, was even, cold, to the Coalition, to the Syndicate, to any species watching, she said. We heard your laughter. We saw your games. You sent hunters. You got a war. She stepped back. Warden uploaded the footage, Ash bleeding out, the hunt, the arrival, the retaliation. It would cycle through every open frequency within 100 light years. A warning written in blood and smoke. Breaker didn't look up from his gear. They won't believe it, he muttered. They don't have to, Warden replied. They'll feel it next time. Ash stirred on the med table. Eyes opened. He looked around slowly, still half-drugged but aware. A low chuckle escaped his throat. Hoarse, cracked but real. Tell me we recorded that. Torch turned, nodded once. Every second. He grinned, or tried to. It came out more like a grimace, but no one corrected him. He reached for his side, found only fresh bandages. I'm still here, he muttered. Breaker stepped closer. You think they'll come back? Ash didn't hesitate. Of course they will, but they'll remember this. Every single one of them. Torch folded her arms. And if they don't? Ash's eyes narrowed. Then we remind them. The ship lifted moments later, silent and smooth, cutting through the last curls of smoke. No ceremony, no declaration. Just 4 humans and the weight of a message that didn't need translation. Far above, in orbit, listening stations replayed the broadcast. Some alien species watched in silence. Others mocked it. But a few, those who'd seen human wars up close, said nothing. They recognized what they saw. Not power, not superiority, but resolve. The kind that doesn't shatter. The kind that remembers. The kind that builds grudges and breaks empires. Somewhere in a high council chamber, a senior tactician replayed the footage again. Slowed it. Studied the eyes of the man bleeding out. Listened to his voice, weak but clear. Not pleading. Not broken. Just waiting. The tactician looked to his staff. "They don't fear death," he said. No one answered. On board the ship, Ash stared at the ceiling. His voice low. They wanted a spectacle. Let him have one. He closed his eyes. Not to sleep. Just to think. It wasn't over. Not close. This was just proof that humans didn't die quiet. And when pushed far enough, they didn't bleed alone. They bled back.